The Iberian Peninsula. A beautiful, warm, peaceful place. However, it wasn't always like this. Back in the Middle Ages, the Iberian Peninsula was a boiling point for religious and cultural ideas, often leading to skirmishes and wars for control throughout the region. And that is exactly what Paradox Games is trying to address with their new Fate of Iberia flavor pack, which brings new mechanics, animations, and even outfits to the game Crusader Kings 3. In the midst of all these new mechanics, there are a few bonuses which could stack very nicely in order to play taller than ever before. So that is exactly what we will be doing today. So clicking on new game brings us to this whole new starting screen, the struggle for Iberia. And today, to test out this new flavor pack, DLC, whatever they want to call it, we are going to be playing as this guy.
Hello there.
Who is one of the Catholic rulers in Iberia. Alright, so here we are in the game. You should notice a few things right off the bat. First of all, look how nice these new models look. Here we have the Roman walls of Lugo, which is part of the city over here. And then to our north, we have a beautiful little lighthouse here, which is actually supposed to be based on the famous lighthouse of Alexandria. I think these look really cool. My personal favorite are these, the Alhambra ruins, which you can upgrade if you own these, but look how sick these look in the mountains. And I think even the castles and the walls got a little bit of a workaround, like the cities models too, you know. So I'm a big fan of that. I'm always saying they should have more detailed 3D models for the castles and the cities. But enough talking about cosmetics, let's jump into the actual gameplay of this new flavor pack. Instead of going over all of them right now, we will slowly deal with as many elements as we can as we progress through this game, and our main goal will be to play very tall using the new Metropolitan Dynastic Legacy tree, which has some really cool bonuses for our players. So right now we are a count and we have control of 2 counties. Our father actually owns this county to our north, and then our friend is the king of the Spanish kingdom, which we are a part of. However, the first thing I would like to talk about is the actual Iberian struggle. So in the struggle, you have different phases, and to move from phase to phase, you have to complete certain actions. So you can see right now we're in the opportunity phase, and this affects certain things in the game, like warfare. You can see an example would be to fabricate claims. It comes at a cost of prestige instead of gold, so that's kind of cool. But what you need to know is to go to the next phase of the struggle, it actually depends on what all the characters in this region do. You can see anytime a truce is broken with any character involved in this region, we actually gain 25 progress to the hostility phase. And this phase has different effects, like you can see in warfare. Your army gets more pursuit, your siege weapons become more effective, and you can see a big thing is there are a ton more fatal casualties. However, some of the negative effects, as you can see here, are that the whole region gets minus 30% to the development growth. So we really don't want this. Instead, we are trying to get the conciliation phase. And in this phase, you can see you get some negative effects for being at war in terms of control. But one thing that is really good, you can see you get a minus 25% to your construction speed. We would also get a 30% boost instead to our development growth. Since we do want to use all these new gameplay elements to play tall, we are definitely going to want to try to get the conciliation phase, and there's a few ways we can influence this as well. You can see releasing an involved ruler from prison without any request actually gains us 25 progress, which is pretty big. And then there's some other things too, which will be a little bit difficult. One of them, which I did notice, is here we go. So constructing a building in a city holding actually gets us 3 progress. So that's pretty important, and we want to be doing this anyway. So let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. I will spend 150 gold on constructing a trade port in the city that is a part of our capital of Santiago, because this will now be getting me plus 5% development growth in Santiago. And of course, I'm going to have to take my steward and actually get them working on increasing the development in there for that to take effect. Looking at our culture, you can see we are actually the culture head, and what we want to be researching right away here is city planning, because city planning will let us build more cities in our territories, and that will let us boost our development even further as we progress here. Okay, so the first actual thing we want to do is declare a war against our dad who owns this county to our north, and you can see we already have claims on his county, and we're both actually allied to this count to our east. So what I can do is call him into the war first.
You've got mail.
He should accept that, and now we have a pretty sizable military advantage against our own dad. Our ally will attack, so we can jump in, easily win, and then start seizing down his land.
Hey, that's pretty
Oh,
good.
okay, so it looks like we actually killed him in battle, and since we were his heir, we get the land anyway. We were his primary heir, and now we can take a look. Oh, and actually, since we got it like that, we get to have 100 control here right away, which is very helpful, because we will now be making an extra 2.31 tax per month in this county, because it does have this beautiful lighthouse here, which gives me a tax bonus of 1 per month, which we will definitely be taking in this situation. So right now, looking at the battle between hostility and conciliation, you can see conciliation is winning by 1. We're going to want to affect this as much as possible. In order to do that, we can do some little things like learning a language from an involved ruler. So I think we already know the language of our king. Yeah. But if we go maybe over here to this Muslim guy, you can see we can learn the language here, and we actually have a 79% chance to do it, which is pretty decent. If we do that, we'll kick this up just a little bit, and then maybe there's some more languages we can learn after. You can see here we actually have a 90% chance of getting a claim on the kingdom, which we are a part of. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. I probably won't be using it right away because you can see we're pretty weak, but it's always good to have a claim on your kingdom, just in case this guy takes a bit of damage from somebody, kind of falls apart, and then we can always swoop in and then become the kingdom ourselves. So you can see right here, we just became friends. I just had a decision where I became friends with somebody, and that actually boosts the progress to conciliation by 3, which is helpful, but you can see right now hostility is leading by a pretty good amount. So we're going to want to step up our game in terms of conciliation. Another thing that will help is building buildings in cities, and I'm gonna go ahead and make a trade port in the city of our northern county here. Okay, so here we have a 90% chance of getting a claim, and yes, it looks like it went through. He does lose some opinion with us, but you can see he's still our good friend. Oh man, I got so lucky. I demanded payment for my best friend, and I didn't realize that would cause me a lot of stress, but we ended up getting athletic as the coping mechanism for going up a stress level, and that is literally the best one we could get. It's now going to give us a boost to our health and reduction in stress, an increase in stress loss later in the game, so I'm super happy about that. Here we go. So I think I have just learned the Arabic language, which, yeah, you can see boosts our conciliation phase by another 3, and we're actually very close to hostility. Okay, this is huge. So you can see we just hit enough renown in order to pick up our first dynastic legacy. And like I said, we are going to be going down the metropolitan dynastic legacy tree, and this first one here you can see says every city increases the monthly development growth of its county by 20%. This is actually pretty crazy. You can see if we go now to look at our development in Santiago, which we already increased by 2, you can now see we have this village center 20% boost to our development. That's also why I'm researching city planning, because I want to build another city in this empty slot we have here, because then I'll get a 40% boost plus both the trade ports and the guild halls, which each add 5% each tier I upgrade on them. Oh no, my best friend was killed by some Muslim guy, and look at how much stress we get from this. 188, that seems like way too much stress. Jeez, I guess we'll have to become a drunkard in order to try and offset that. But again, since we can go on hunts for 84 stress loss, that's actually pretty helpful. And I think I promised one of my vassals to go on a feast, so I guess I could do that as well. And of course, how could I forget the most important thing? They added this beautiful sombrero. I had to put that on with these spectacles just to make our ruler look a whole lot better. So I just beat this guy in chess, and I took the option where we gain opinion with each other, and now if I actually run a befriend scheme on him, you can see in 2 years we have a 100% chance of becoming a friend with him, which will increase our conciliation phase even more. Whoa, look at this. The giant Muslim kingdom that was to our south looks like it absolutely exploded into all these counties. Okay, so I have above 2,000 prestige right now, and I'm going to use that to reform our culture. I'm going to pick up a new tradition here, and the one I'm going to go for is the Hill Dwellers tradition. This one is really good. It boosts your development growth in hills, which already come at a minus 10% to development growth, so this actually is quite helpful, as well as reducing the cost of building buildings and constructing holdings in hills. It's quite helpful. Our capital actually is in hills, so that development boost will help a lot over here. And you can see I do have at least one other county right now in hills, but if we take a look at the terrain, red being hills, you can see there's a lot of hills around this, around Spain. So I had a third son over here, and he actually has the temperate trait, which is a virtue for the Catholics. And what you can see that does is actually increase the chance of him accepting vows by 25%. So he already has a 74% chance, but since I have a hook on him because he's my son, I can increase that to 100%, meaning we can convince him to become a monk. So now on our death, our land would only split by 1, and we only have one other son to deal with. Alright guys, so you might have noticed I was stockpiling my gold for a little bit, and we have reached 950, which is the exact amount we need to construct this beautiful Cathedral of Santiago. And this is an amazing special building. You can see we'll build it in just 23 months because we have all of these nice speed bonuses. And it is going to get us 3 tax per month, as well as a 30% bonus to our tax. And then some other great bonuses for our development growth. And on top of that, some all-around bonuses for our piety and stuff like that. So we're going to get working on this as fast as we can, and that will just skyrocket our gold income. We should hit over 10 gold per month once that is finished. Guys, we have already brought our development in our capital up to 14, and I think it started at 7, so that's quite a nice increase. In only 24 years, we've doubled our development. And you can see the effect that is having on our surrounding counties. So this is very good for our tall type of game we plan on playing here. Whoa, and look at our gold income. We skyrocketed to 12.2 gold per month because we have finished the absolutely beautiful Cathedral of Santiago. Already our development actually increased. We were making 2.2 before when I just showed you, and now we're making 2.7. Okay, I have 250 gold, which means I have enough money to go ahead and create the duchy. So that's going to be pretty helpful, not for too many reasons, but one is it will give us a new regiment of men-at-arms, and I think what I'm going to pick up are these pikemen units. You can see we don't have access to the armored footmen, the heavy infantry unit just yet. So these pikemen are kind of our next best bet. So since we just became a duke, look at this, our liege is already granting us vassals, which is massive. We have 2 new counties, which are now a part of our beautiful duchy, and that actually adds quite a little bit of men to our army here. And look at this, we have Count Hastings over here of Montague raiding in our lands. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be tough because he's a 34 tier commander, which means even if we have this guy who has 20 right here, even if we have a commander of 20, he's going to get a plus 14 difference against us. So I'll raise my own army here, and we'll see if he tries to run away, and it looks like he does. Oh, look at this. If we attack him, it says we would definitely lose. That's pretty crazy. I guess it is because he does have like a ton of men-at-arms compared to my army, which really doesn't have that many. So unfortunately, he was able to get a raid off on our northern county. That'll affect the amount of gold we make there, but as long as we're able to keep Santiago protected, we should be okay. Ah, yes. The best thing about playing as a Catholic ruler is we can pester the Pope for gold this whole game right there, you can see we got a 250 gold bonus. And what we can do with that is go right ahead and pump it all into our pikeman units and increase the size to 3 of 3 right away. So when this fills out, if we take a look at our liege here, you can see he has a total military strength of just under 13,000 men. So it might actually be the perfect time for us to declare our war for the entire kingdom. Once those units fill out, of course. I wasn't doing this before, but I should have had my son on as my court physician, because the longer he is a physician in my court, the more chance he gets of picking up those beautiful physician traits, which actually increases learning. Okay, so my military has replenished. I think it's the perfect time to declare a war for the kingdom that we are a part of. We're kind of backstabbing our king here because he is our friend, but you know, you got to do what you got to do in these situations. I'm about to capture his capital, which should give us a very nice boost in this war. Okay, here we caught him trying to take back his old piece of land, and I'm still not gonna get him. What?
Why are you running?
Here, this is actually not good because he's defending in mountains, but honestly, I think we'll still win, and I do want to finally get an attack off on him. There we go. We didn't get that many kills, but you know, that battle score will help our war score. And I guess what I should do is just keep invading some of his land.
Nope.
Okay, so I can catch him in these mountains again. It's annoying to have to fight him in mountains, like I said before. But at least it's going to help our war score. Okay, there you go. So we took another piece of land, hit 100%. So if we enforce our demands, boom, look at that. We are now a mighty king. And now that we're a king, we should be able to influence this just enough so that we can turn it in our favor. Because like I had mentioned before, we can now do a couple of these things like granting independence to a non-de jure vassal, or even changing the contract of some of the vassals that we have in for their favor will get us 5 per time. So we should definitely be able to hit conciliation now. Another thing that happened during that war was we were able to pick up the Hill Dwellers tradition. So now you can see we're making another 20% bonus to the development growth in our capital. We also already have 6 court artifacts somehow. Oh, look at this book. Plus 0.4 prestige and plus 0.1 renown. You do love to see that. And already our court is looking pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. The other thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is upgrade everything.
It's the plants. They can release chemicals. You like hot dogs, don't you?
What's going on with you? What are you talking about?
Over here to 3, but I'll put our food to exotic, which should net us above level 4 of whatever this is called, term of our court grandeur. And then the other thing I'm going to do is actually switch over to administrative court, because that's going to reduce our buildings construction time and cost by 10% each, which is very decent. So now if we were to go into our capital, which is in hills, remember, so hill dwellers will be taking effect. We are currently getting a minus 40% to all our buildings. That is huge. It's too bad this doesn't come into effect for our city buildings, but you know, that is okay. So I'll actually go ahead and build 2 barracks because those will help with our pikeman damage, as well as just giving us some more levies. Oh my goodness, guys, look at this. I actually have the conciliation phase leading for the first time in this game, and it's the perfect timing because we only need like 200 and a bit more. I might not even have to grant some land away or set up some contracts. Well, let's actually see what would happen if we were to set up a new contract with somebody. Let's take, for example, I guess this guy here, or maybe somebody small. So this person down here, you can see they're not that strong anyway. So if I go over here and modify our contract, and instead of having normal levies, what if I lower the levies to low and we modify this contract? You can see, yeah, so we actually just gained 5 flat out for conciliation. So technically I could do that for all of these tiny vassals I have. And boom, that's another 5 towards the conciliation phase. If we keep doing that, or if we do that when it gets close to the end, we should guarantee this change there. One thing I have been a little bit careful of is you can see constructing buildings and castle holdings actually give +3 to the hostility phase, and that's normally how I get most of my strength. So I've been holding off a little bit in upgrading some of these things. However, to offset that, I could always continue to upgrade some of these city buildings, which go towards the conciliation phase as well. So normally I wouldn't really care if I had two sons and my land was going to split. But you can see the problem with this is that my second son would actually get a whole kingdom to himself. And that's pretty bad. Like that would hurt me a lot. So I think instead what I'm going to have to do is just disinherit him. It does cost some renown, which is bad. I know, but instead having one son get all my land is just going to help me for the rest of this game a ton. We are currently sitting on 18 development in our capital, only 36 years after the game's start. And this is beautifully spreading to all of these other counties as well, which I've shown you before. You can see in Corona, we are actually making 1.8 development per month just from the neighbor growth, which is absolutely huge. Ooh, so this is another cool thing about the DLC. You now have the option to purchase truces from other players. So this guy, let's see where he lives exactly. This guy who's the owner of this duchy down here, which is actually pretty strong, just wants to buy a truce from us, which I will accept. It's a 10-year truce, and at the cost of 100 gold, that is pretty good. I don't plan on invading this area here, I don't think. And if I do, waiting 10 years is definitely not the end of the world. Okay, so we finally finished city planning, which means we can make use of that beautiful legacy we have and build another city down here in our capital. And I'm gonna go ahead and build a temple holding also in our county to the north, because we need a temple holding here before we can build a secondary city as well. Ooh, okay guys, so it looks like we just died. So now we're going to be playing as our son, and you can see we managed to get him some pretty decent stats of his own. He already has 19 stewardship, 17 learning, and the beautiful physician trait. So the only bad thing about him is he only has 2 daughters, but one of them does have intelligent, which is pretty decent. I think what I'm going to do is take a risk and reset our perks at the cost of stress. What this will let us do is put these all into architect, which will help with the building cost and the development growth in our capital. So like our father before us, we will have to become a drunkard in order to, because of that stress that we just got. And what we can do is go on a hunt, which is quite expensive. And that should lower our stress back down. Okay, so right now I am looking at the kingdoms map, and you can see we don't have full control of this kingdom here. And it is going to be important for us to pick this up. I'll explain why later. So what I'm going to do is a struggle clash, which actually just gets us this little piece which we need. And you can see these guys aren't super weak. They actually have a very similar military to us. But I think because we actually have decent knights, as you can see, as well as a pretty sizable men-at-arms contingent, we should be okay. So you see here, he did have 3,000 men, which was similar to us, but now he has 4,700, and it turns out he hired, of course, 1.5k mercenaries to put his military just edging ours. But what we can do is now hire a holy order of our own, which actually comes with some very strong 700 order knights, which are really strong military units. Now we should definitely have the edge in this war. Okay, so it looks like we'll be able to attack him here. He does have defending from a river crossing, which is in his favor. However, since we get to attack this small army right away, and then he has to stop actually sieging this fort we have, it should turn the battle into our favor here. There you go. We killed almost 1,300 men in that battle, which is quite massive. And now we can run and hopefully catch this other army of his allies. And then if we invade this county here, we should start ticking this war more in our favor, because we now have the war target. And look at this, you can see we actually were able to pull off getting conciliation in this game. So in 2 months we will start the conciliation phase, which is awesome. Okay, so I hit 100% without even having to take any more land. So I'm going to go ahead and enforce our demands. So let's talk about the conciliation phase. You can see we get penalties for being at war now. So we're not going to want to declare any wars. We actually get plus 20% opinion for people of different culture. In terms of faith, we get opinion with people of different faiths, again, plus 20, which is really cool. And then the most important thing for our game is a 30% bonus to our development growth. Also, that we can enter alliances more easily, which is so good. And we get these speed bonuses, which we talked about. Okay, this is actually super exciting. As you can see, it takes us like 2 or 3 months to build things. So I'm going to go ahead and start building some nice some stuff in our castles now that will not push like hostility or anything. Okay, so the reason why I said it is important, all those things like becoming friends and having alliances being created more easily, is because it will actually help us to end the Iberian struggle. So if we click on view ending decision over here, it brings up 3 ways we can end this struggle for Iberia, and one of them is military. One is I'm not really sure. It's like a compromise between everybody. And then the last one is where you get alliances with everybody and you can end the conflict as friends, which is of course what I want to do. So the reason we wanted to take control of that kingdom, why we did that war, is because you have to have complete control of any de jure kingdom in Hispania to do this. You also need to be exalted amongst men, level of fame. And right now, you can see we are not quite there. However, we are at least at distinguished and we are gaining 5.7 per month. So we should be able to get there before this character dies, hopefully. And then the other thing we have to do is all other independent rulers have to have an alliance with us. This is the thing that is going to be pretty tough. But because we have those friendship bonuses, if we click on this guy for an example, you can see we could run a befriend scheme on him, because we are in the conciliation phase, and that will help us set up an alliance. However, in order to do the alliance, we are going to have to go down the diplomat tree and pick up defensive negotiations, because that means we can propose alliances without a marriage. Because as of right now, we only have 2 kids, so we wouldn't really be able to set up too many alliances. One guy we could set up alliance with right away is this character. Boom. Because this is one of our sisters, and all of our sisters actually don't even have wives right now. Using them for a couple of alliances is going to be helpful. So yeah, already you can see we have 2 of 16 now. So we're making our way down. We're going to have to time that with our fame, but it should definitely be doable. Okay, I just hit enough gold to build our second city in our northern county, and you can see it only costs us 180 gold to build a city. Like, that is ridiculously cheap. It will take 3 years to pass, however, but that will help us with our development in this northern county quite a bit. Okay, we can finally also take a look at our development. It is crazy how many boosts we're getting here. Look at this.
Oh, yeah. It's all coming together.
We are actually getting a 150% boost to our development growth in our capital right now. You'd love to see it. Okay, it's been enough time, so I'm going to switch over to the Majesty focus in order to get thoughtful and then defensive negotiations. Okay, so I have another perk in the dynastic legacy tree to get, and I'm actually going to take the other one, the next one in the metropolitan line, and that is because you can see if our dynasty members are educated in places with high development, such as our capital, they can receive this trait right here, which actually gives them a bonus of stewardship and learning. So that is super good already. My 2 favorite perks to get. I am still educating my daughter and both my daughters. However, they are pretty old, so they might not get it this life, but if they do, we'll get to show off how nice it looks and stuff like that. Okay, so we just hit illustrious level of fame, which means we only have to go up 5,000 more prestige in order to get exalted amongst men, which is necessary to end the struggle. I also set up another couple alliances. You can see we have 4 of 14. So we still have 10 rulers to either ally, or we could always take them over. But I still need to pick up the negotiation perk, which will let me negotiate for alliances instead of marrying off my kids. Okay, so I just hit enough diplomacy experience to pick up the perk which lets us create alliances with people. Okay, look at this. So this guy who's my friend, I can right away propose an alliance with him.
Excellent.
Let's see, this guy I think I'm also friends with.
Nani?
Oh, uh-oh. So I think you can only have one of these proposed alliances. Oh, so it's only one alliance you can propose without a marriage. So that is not very good. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is request a divorce with our wife. And then we're gonna have to try to find somebody with the fecund trait, like this lady here who is also young, so we can just pump out a ton of kids like her. She will actually be perfect. And I'll have to run a seduce scheme on her as well in order to start pumping out kids, because we will need more kids to marry off to some of these other guys and to create more alliances. Oh, look at this guy. So like I was saying with my daughters, my second daughter was actually able to pick up the best tier of this town maven perk. So now she got a bonus of +3 stewardship and +3 learning. She actually has amazing stats. I'll probably disinherit this first one and then play as this second one if this game even lasts that long. Yeah, so I did a cheeky murder on my old archbishop because I will actually need him in order to fabricate claims against some of these guys. Because if I can only ally with my kids that I have, I'll need to actually invade some of these little counties in order to get the number of independent rulers down in Hispania. Okay, it looks like I successfully seduced my wife at least. Hopefully she'll start pumping out some kids. Oh, it looks like we can negotiate an alliance with some guy here, which is pretty big. Create a duchy as well, which will help because again, we still have to get to Exalted Amongst Men. However, we are further than halfway there. Okay, so I got my claim on this small county over here, so I'm gonna invade them. There we go. We're getting raided in Santiago, which absolutely blows. I'm currently helping one of my allies in a war so he doesn't get replaced, and we need him not to get replaced so we can keep our alliance with him. So we're just gonna have to take the massive L from that unless we're able to actually capture them here and stop them from at least raiding our second county. Ooh, and our queen is pregnant again, which is absolutely massive. Okay, we finished getting our claim on this small county here, so we can now declare war and take it for ourselves. There we go, so we won this war. Enforcing our demands and granting these 2 places away now means 1 less independent ruler. You can see we actually have alliances with 5 of 11 independent rulers now, which is quite good. Okay, so we just hit Exalted Amongst Men. Our health is poor, which is not good, but I am going down the whole of body tree and hopefully picking up Iron Constitution will really help. Okay, so over here I actually won a war for this whole duchy, which is pretty important because these guys would have counted as their own independent realm. Okay guys, we might actually have a chance at completing this. You can see right now we're only at 5 of 11 of people who have alliances with us, but we currently have 4 unmarried daughters. So what I'm gonna do is go around and arrange marriages with all of my daughters and each of these rulers in order to set up alliances with the ones we don't have already. Boom, so there you go. Now if we look at this decision, we now have 9 of 11. I'm about to finish the fabrication claim over here on this county. I can take that, making it 9 of 10, and then we only have to wait. We would only have to wait, here we go, 18 months for our truce to end with these guys. We can invade their last tiny county, claiming them, and then we would be technically at 9 of 9, meaning we could finish the struggle for Iberia. Hopefully this works as planned, otherwise I would be completely screwed. Oh my goodness, how could we possibly lose? Oh man, come on. Okay, so we finished this first war just now. Okay, and if we look down here, we have ended our truce with these guys in the south. So we can declare war on them. And after we take this piece of land, we should be able to end the struggle.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Man, they really don't want me to take this county. Okay, there we go. We got the last county. So now if we enforce our demands, look over here, we can see the decision is glowing, and if we click on it, we can actually end the Iberian struggle because we have successfully allied every single independent ruler and then took control of all the rest, as you can see. So we get a few cool things from this actually. You can see we permanently allow interfaith marriages between all involved cultures and currently disable the holy war option for involved cultures, which is pretty cool. So like no more holy wars. Clicking on it, there we go. Look at this. We get a new nickname. Holy crap, do we get a ton of renown from that? That is actually pretty crazy. You can see we have 10k renown, so we could go all the way up this decision tree and still have 5k left. And let's just take a look at some of these other perks in the metropolitan tree. And this one here actually just makes it so our city buildings are a lot cheaper and you can build them faster. Here we gain 150 prestige and attract guests when completing buildings in cities. And then we have the expand cities decision, which is really cool. It allows you to increase the number of buildings you have in your cities. That is actually interesting. I don't know how useful that is because the only two buildings I really care about in my cities are the guilds and the fishnet weavers. But you know, that's not too bad. But there you have it, guys. We have successfully ended the struggle in Iberia through peaceful means, while also making our 3 counties here quite tall. You can see we've managed, if we go to the development, you can see we managed to bring the development in Santiago all the way up to 25. That is almost the same of Cordoba, which was down here, and only a few less than Rome. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope it explained a little bit about the struggles of Iberia flavor pack that they released. I might have an idea of how to use this in order to really speedrun through the text in the game, but you'll have to stay tuned if you want to see that. Otherwise, that is it for me, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.